For the youngsters out there, I'm the elder statesman. Let me just put it in perspective. Steph has played 316 more games with the Warriors than Wilt Chamberlain did. So Wilt averaged 41.5 points a game in his career for the Warriors. Steph, obviously, about 24 points a game, 23 points a game. So that's just putting it in perspective. Nothing against Steph. He's obviously great.
41.5? Broussard, 41 and a half for his career with the Warriors? Okay.
With the Warriors.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Every night was a career night. So just a little perspective.
Yeah.
But first, I think for Nick, I think Steph's got to get them into the play-in game so Nick doesn't move him down in his all-time tiers. I think Nick's really considering moving Steph down if they can't finish at least 10th. So that's number one. But the one thing he hasn't done as a Warrior, and the likelihood is he doesn't do it, but he has never won a Finals MVP. Not a big deal to me because, one, I think that award is a bit overrated. It's nice, but it's not the end-all, be-all. And two, I think it was such a travesty that he didn't win it in 2015 when Andre Iguodala, all respect to him, got the award. But Steph averaged 26 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in that series. Scored 37 in the clinching game 6. Scored 25 in game 5, which was pivotal. Like, I don't know what in the world the voters were thinking that he didn't win that Finals MVP. But when guys nitpick years from now and they're comparing Steph to someone else, that's one thing they'll say: he never won that Finals MVP. But looking forward, I think it's simple. Can he rebuild the dynasty? And not necessarily that it'll be another dynasty, but get one more ring there. Next year, they'll be good with Clay back, assuming they're healthy. They still need a piece. I think they should look at a guy like a Blake Griffin maybe in free agency if they can get him, in the cheap. But they need something else. But look, you don't know. LeBron's older. You never know what could happen with him. The Clippers, you never know what could happen with playoff P. So the window, they won't be the favorites in the West, but they'll be in contention, you would think. So that's what it's got to be over these next few years. Try to rebuild a championship team. Like Tim Duncan went 7 years before his last ring. So
that's right.
It could happen.
And that's the rub for Steph. Because all that's left for him to accomplish with the Warriors are nights like last night, which are nice, but not what he's here for. Because Steph's legacy is built on 3 things primarily. The first one is he's the greatest shooter of all time without any question whatsoever. The other one is the architect of, the most recent modern dynasty. And then the third one is the unanimous MVP in 73 win season. It's not built on counting stats. Steph Curry, while he did just pass Wilt Chamberlain, you'll like this one, Broussard, for career points with the Warriors. Do you know who he's currently 1 spot behind in all-time career points? Chris Mullin, another Warriors great. Does Mullin spend a few years with the Pacers? Steph Curry is 79th all-time in points, 69th all-time in assists, because he played a long time in college. He dealt with some injuries early. He wasn't a superstar immediately. His counting numbers are never going to be like what James Harden's, for example, will be at the end of his career. His legacy is built on winning, and he can't win in Golden State anymore. And so you mentioned, Duncan. Duncan went to the finals in 13, won a title in 14, and retired in 16. Kobe retired in 16. His last title was 2010. But 2013, they thought they were going to win the title. Kobe hadn't gotten hurt yet. They got Nash. They got Dwight. They still had Powell. They were still contending. So Wilds, what's tough for Steph is now in a position, because they've got Clay for the next 3 years at a max deal, Draymond for the next 3 at $75 million, Broussard's 13th favorite player, Andrew Wiggins, at the next 2 for 40-some million. And they blew the Weissman pick. And Weissman's trade value has never been lower because he wasn't playing well and he just got hurt. I'm not saying Weissman won't be a good player, but if you wanted to package him in the Minnesota pick for a star, that ship sailed. That can't happen. And if they had to do it all over again, they would have listened to Brandon Marshall and they would have drafted LaMelo. So Wilds, I don't know if Steph remains a Warrior, it's going to be a lot more ceremonies, but none of them are going to be anything close to a ring ceremony. And that's just tough when the guy's only 32 years old.
Yeah. So what struck me as odd about it was it felt like, oh, we're really looking in the rear view mirror here. There's more yesterdays of Steph Curry's career than there is tomorrow's. And say what you want about LeBron. LeBron was like maniacally focused on what's next. It feels like the entire Warriors organization is still sort of living in the glory days. Whether it's Steph talking about, like, oh, look at me, Chris Mullen, the great Chris Mullen called me, and the great Wilt Chamberlain, and then Draymond and KD are doing a podcast about crying or not crying in the parking lot, and then Steve Kerr's on podcast getting in trouble about saying, well, last year wasn't as bad. Well, I actually enjoyed losing more than I enjoyed our fun. Everything is focused on the past. And Brandon, I think that's because the future is not that bright. Not said that this accomplishment left a sour taste in my mouth, but it's hard to get fired up when you're 26 and 28. Wiseman's out. You're in 10th place. You're a game ahead of the Pelicans. It's hard for me to say, great night. I'm very happy. I still feel, I felt more kind of sad about it than I did super pumped up.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was awesome seeing them go to work last night. But at the end of the day, it showed how much basketball is left in Steph. Did anybody, let's be real, did anybody mark this on the calendar and say, I got to go watch the Warriors, I got to go see Steph play tonight? No. So are we going to spend the next 5 years, the rest of Steph's career, just watching games through highlights? Like, I want to see this guy compete. And I know it's hard sometimes for fans to see games go down to the wire, but those are the greatest moments. Those are the ones that you always remember, is the games that go down to the wire and your team pull it through. I would love to see Steph Curry in Los Angeles with LeBron James. Now, Chris, I know you think differently, like, oh, why would he leave? But Steph Curry has so much basketball left, and right now, I wouldn't say it's getting wasted, but we deserve as fans to see him contend and compete. And Klay coming back is not going to get the job done, Chris. And then also Draymond. Draymond, the best days are behind him. Draymond, great, love what he brings to the table, but you can't expect Draymond to come in and be the guy that's going to help you contend for a championship. So I would like to see Steph make a move, obviously do it in a classy way, but go compete. Go over there and team up with LeBron and AD.
No, look, the more the time goes on, and I'm just talking about weeks, not years, the less egregious the idea of Steph leaving Golden State seems. Look, I certainly believe he wants to stay with Klay and Draymond. Obviously, they've been through great times together. They built that dynasty. He doesn't want to leave them. But after a year or so, let's say next year Klay is back and Draymond and the whole crew is back together, and they're okay. They're a 7th seed. They go out in the first round.
That's the thing.
Would it be terrible for Steph to, and again, we talked about it last week, Nick, if Brooklyn looks great, would it be terrible for Steph to look at going to play with LeBron or even somebody else somewhere else
or
where
anywhere.
They can compete with a great team?
Right. I don't even want to make this about LeBron. Go play with Luka or Zion or forget the LeBron. I know people attached him to LeBron because Wendy said he was trying to recruit him.
Right.
But the thing on Klay, I know there is some hope, Jenna, that when Klay comes back, it'll be different. Klay is going to be coming back from the 2 worst injuries a basketball player can suffer in the same leg and not playing for 2 years. I love it. Klay Thompson is the highest approval rating of any star in the league. Nobody dislikes Klay. But he said it himself. Am I going to come back playing 38 minutes a night guarding the other team's best player? No. And so how much, he's going to help, but it's not going to be the 2015 Splash Brothers all over again.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.